Hello and welcome back, beautiful beings, to episode 3 of Let's Get Woo Woo.
Woo
Danny and
woo.
I Danny and I thought that it would be really powerful and quite divine with where we're at in our life right now to do an episode today on the power and the ability to speak one's truth. And this is something that I've been navigating a lot in the last couple of months. And I know that you have too, Danny. And I think it would be really powerful to share our journey and what's been coming up, and also how we've gotten to a place of being able to speak our truth, and also why so many women cannot share their truth or why they don't know what their truth is. And I feel like we're in the society today it's really beautiful because there's so many women that are stepping into sharing their truth, right? And there's so many women that are healing and that are being celebrated for speaking their truth. But then I also feel like with that, there's this like unconscious rule that it's like, yeah, like you can go off queen and like speak your truth, but it's like, but don't offend anyone, right? Speak your truth, but make sure you're like agreeable and you're compliant and you're not too much, you're not too loud, you're not too powerful. And something I've really noticed is the more I speak my truth, the more I offend people, the more power I have within myself, the more I do not comply with most standards and rules. And so the consequence or like the exchange for speaking one's truth, I feel like is a lot of discomfort. And I think that's something that you'll be able to speak into today. But I thought it would be powerful, Danny, if you just started by like sharing your journey of maybe how you felt previously when sharing your voice and speaking your truth, and how you feel now, because I know now you're a woman that is so beautifully in her power and you share your voice and you're authentic and it's so beautiful to witness. But I would love to hear what it's been like previously compared to what it is now.
Yeah, it's such an interesting piece, isn't it? Because if if I was asked this question even just 12 months ago, I would have said, but I speak my truth. I always speak my truth. I'm always true to myself. But I think I didn't really understand what my truth was. So I know for me, Mon, that it's been a journey, a whole journey of stepping into who I actually fucking am as a person, and really starting to understand the things that make me happy, the things that make me sad, the things that I am not okay with putting up with, and the things that I don't want to be seen as well. You know, a really beautiful piece that you shared there was speaking your truth, but not offending anyone else, which, in a way is really beautiful, right? Because to come from a place of love and to lead with love is is so important and it's so needed. But there's a difference between minimizing your voice and not sharing your truth, or me not sharing my truth, just for the sake of being liked or for the sake of being included. And I know that
Mm.
along the journey of my life, it has always been like that. It's always been that way, even when I thought that I wasn't. I always had surface level relationships, friendships, with other women, with friendships with men, that even when something was said, and I have a really beautiful piece here to navigate through and a beautiful little story to share. But something that, I would have navigated years ago is I would have just let that slide or let someone speak to me that way because, it wasn't really that bad or it was just a joke. And a beautiful little story that I'd love to share is just recently I put up a post on, I can't remember what it was, but it was on some spiritual page. I put this post up, and I had like this guy inbox me, and we were talking, and it was really beautiful. But after his like first initial response, he messaged back and said, Oh, nice figure, by the way. And I
Mm,
instantly took that and went, wow, yeah, no, that's not okay. That is not okay to speak to me like that, whether that's a joke or not. I don't know this person, whether he's looking through my photos or not. That is not, that is not okay. Whereas an old version of me would have been like, oh, thanks, like I work hard for this figure or whatever it may be, which is not wrong, but it's not my truth. And that's actually not okay for someone to speak to me that way that I don't know. And I really, really beautifully sent him a really beautiful message back. And I was just like, I don't appreciate that. And where did that come from? And I wish you healing, brother. And, it was something along the lines of, that's something that you need to look at and know that it's actually not okay to speak to someone like that. And yeah, just beautiful messages. There was hearts, there was love, there was delivering with love. And it was really beautiful to see his reply, which was, something along the lines of, I was just talking about a former athlete coming from a former athlete and then blocked me. And I had this
mm,
this little part of me that giggled and I went, oh, oof, yeah, I really feel that for you, brother. Like what position is he at in his life to go, oh, and now I'm going to block her so she can never contact me ever again. Right?
mm,
Which just goes to show that he's not speaking his truth and he wasn't speaking his truth in that situation. But Mon, this is definitely something that I would have never done in the past. And if I did, I would have verbally attacked him. And I would have been like, how dare you speak to me like that? You don't, whatever I may have said. Right.
mm,
Whereas now it's like, no, I'm going to lead from a place of love, but I'm still going to speak my truth. And recently, I've actually been in a few different situations where I've been able to come forth and speak my truth in a place of not just love and in not just a way to be liked and to be accepted, but me in my complete authenticity and realness and rawness. And that comes with many different levels of who we are as humans. We are angry, we are rage, we are love, we are light, we are everything. And to be able to lean in really gently and speak through those places, it's really scary. It's really
mhm,
scary. But I know for me that really being able to understand who I am and what is important to me has really allowed me to step into that and to speak my truth in a way that leads from a place of love, but also leads from what's actually fucking important to me.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that. And I think it's something that would be really powerful to expand on is in that moment where, if we rewind a bit, where that man complimented you on your figure, how did that show up in your body so that you knew that was not your truth?
Mm,
That was not in resonance. That conversation was not in resonance, and you needed to say something.
mm. Yeah, it came straight from my womb.
Mm,
Came straight from my womb. It was like this. It's kind of like, it was kind of like, when you feel, um, when you kind of get butterflies and you just feel like really excited towards something, or then the opposite when you get butterflies and you feel really icky. It was that
yeah.
ickiness feeling that I felt that came from deep within my womb. But it's interesting that you ask that, Mon, because again, 12 months ago, if you would have asked me that question, I would have had no idea where that came from. I probably would have thought about it, would have went, where did I think about that? How did that make me feel in my mind? Which is like the
Mhm,
complete opposite to um, understanding what your truth is, because it's coming back into your body and understanding where that came from. Where can you pinpoint that? Was that in your heart? Was that in your solar plexus or your gut? Was it in your womb space? Like, where did that really come from?
Yeah, I feel that and I know that. And like, in order to speak one's truth, you have to know how you feel in your body, right? Because how you feel in your body, like feelings, emotions are the energy in your body. And so for most of us that haven't been able to speak our truth for most of our lives, it's because of the disconnection we've had with our body, right? And I feel like as you step into like being a fully expressed woman, the universe is almost like, okay, you want to be that? Let me fucking test you.
Oh my gosh, right? Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's so beautiful. I just want to elaborate on that because it just ties in really beautifully with a really interesting, challenging, beautiful situation that I was recently put in. So, well, not put in, but I was aligned with because the universe was
Hmm.
like, here we go. Just how much are you ready to speak your truth? And just how much are you willing to be authentic and lead from a place of love, but realness and rawness and vulnerability, right? I had this beautiful, beautiful friend. I say had, but I say have because like even people that have come and left our lives, they're still a part of us, right? And we are all one. And with the work that we do, we sisters that have just been and gone, or brothers that have been and gone from our lives, are just they've been and gone for a reason. But a really beautiful piece that that I really want to lean into here on is I recently had a friend that reached out to me, and it was quite aggressive via text message in something that she took her perception in just a completely different point of view, right? And I really looked up to this friend, and she was such a dear friend of mine, and it really hurt coming from a place of the way that she had verbally attacked me with screenshots by a message, and the late messages of a night time that are like 11:30 at night. And so I knew that even just from those pieces there, that they weren't even thought about before they were attacked, which energetically is just like a direct attack, right? Anyway, so I led with my heart, and I sat with it, and I thought about it, and I thought, okay, I can kind of see where she's coming from. I'm going to put my ego aside, and I'm going to leave from a place of love and really try and understand where she's coming from here and reach out to her. And there was so much miscommunication in this area in so many different ways that I felt like a little girl leaning and leaning into her friend and saying, "Oh, but that's not what happened." And I really, really want you to just be my friend. And then I thought, hang on, stop, Danny, where is this coming from? You actually don't need to tell her about this situation or voice it the way that you're voicing it. So just allow and unpiece this for a moment before replying. So I'd done that. And the situation became a little bit messy. It was like I led from love, and then she just attacked. And then I led from love, and then she just attacked. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna leave it now, and then she started to soften, but then attacked again and then blocked me. And then I looked at this and I went, okay, where in my life have I done this? And what is this teaching me? Because either way, I've whether I've attracted this or whether it was the universe testing me, because I really don't believe that we attract everything in resonance, right? I feel that the universe just goes, oh, here, we're just going to test you a little bit. How are you going to handle this situation? Right. And I feel with this situation, this is exactly what has happened. So I sat back and I went, all right, I see that all of the attack and the verbal messages that I'd received from this spiritual and conscious lady friend of mine was actually not led with love, and was the exact way that I used to leave friendships or leave conflict or leave workplaces, that I was too scared to authentically drop in to my heart and drop into my voice and use my voice and say, hey, this is how I feel. Can we talk about this? Because it's
Mm.
an easy way out, right? To just verbally attack and then delete and block and go, oh yeah, well, she did this and she stole this and she copied me or whatever it may be, right? Whatever's coming up for you or for her. And I see that, and I've allowed time to really piece that apart and go, I can see where that used to show up for me. And, in some ways still does. So it's a really beautiful piece for me to work through,
Mhm.
allow that lesson to be mine, but let that
Yeah.
go with love.
Mm. That's so powerful and so beautiful. And I truly believe that everything that we are given in this life, we have the opportunity to meet it with love and to act as our higher selves in this moment. Like we can always control the frequency and the energy that we are. But I feel like from the conditioning, and I know you'll feel this because I feel this too, and a lot of what we experience is the same, is like you, as you're speaking your truth as the woman, the embodied woman that you are today, those old parts still come up, right? So it's like, I'm leading with love, but a part of me wants to like close up and block you. I'm leading with love, but like I feel a block in my throat and like I want to silence myself. Like it's it's this beautiful like knowing that in speaking one's truth, there is so much resistance and so much discomfort. And that is actually part of speaking your truth. Speaking your truth is not ease. It's not comfortable. It does not feel safe. Right. And if we dial it back to like our childhood when you're little and you speak your truth and it's like maybe you're at the supermarket and you're like, Mum, that lady's in a wheelchair. And your mum's like, ah, that's rude. Don't say that. You're like, oh, okay, I can't say what's on my mind. I can't say like what I'm thinking. Or maybe you're like, oh, that man's fat. And your mom's like, hey, can't say things like that. And slowly the masks come on and the filters come on, and you no longer speak what you're really thinking, what's in your gut, what you're really wanting to fucking say. You don't even know it anymore. It's gone. You don't know what's there because it's been conditioned out of you. So there's that. But then there's also like, if we dial it back to like our ancestors, right? Women were silenced. Women were hushed. Women were burnt. Women were punished. Women were tortured for speaking their truth, right? It was a man's world. It was. And so now in your body, when you get up on stage or you sit with your partner or you sit with your friend and you're like, shoot, I really need to say this. But yet your whole body, because your body stores your past emotions from previous lifetimes, your body is like shaking and your throat is closing up and your voice is shaking and you're getting sweaty because it feels so unsafe,
So fucking scary.
so scary. But it's like that feeling in your body, that resistance, that is speaking your truth. You know, in those moments that you're saying the truth, but your whole body is fighting you because it feels so uncomfortable.
And the thing is, Mon, is there's such a difference between speaking your truth from a place of love and just authenticity than directly speaking your truth and being angry at someone, or throwing that aggression at someone. Like there's a huge difference there. There's
Mm-hmm.
even like, because I know for me, I'm quite a passionate person. When I start to get like on topic about something I'm passionate about, I start to speak a little faster and I start to throw this energy around. But that's just a part of who I fucking am. That's just my
Mm-hmm.
authenticity, and that's something that when I started doing the inner work, I started to silence, because I was like, oh no, I should only speak when I'm grounded and only speak when I'm coming from a place of love, light. And no, that's not fucking human language, though, right? That's a part of who I
Mm-hmm.
am. Absolutely. But I'm also loud and I'm also wild and I love to get naked in the fucking wild, but like it's, and bring this out with other women as well. Like there's a huge difference between that, right?
Yeah, I feel that. And I know I've been on a similar journey to you where I think it's easy when you start healing to think that there's this version of you that is pure love and light. And there's this version of you that is so love and light that nothing fucking triggers her. And it's so beautiful as we share our experiences together and we become more of who we are. And it's understanding that the version of ourselves that is fully expressed, that is in her authenticity, that is the love that we are, is also angry, is also rage, is also sadness, is also suffering, is also love and happiness and joy and freedom and pleasure. She's both. And she is like in your pure essence. And I know we're both so passionate. And I know we're both quite direct. And I know we are so loving and so soft with some things. And we're so hard and so forceful and so like get it done with other things. And that's the beauty of embracing our authenticity and knowing who we are. But I too, for a really long time, was like trying to silence the parts of myself that were categorized as bad or wrong. Right? Never did I ever do like a personal development thing that was like, oh my gosh, Simone, like be angry. It's so good to be angry. Without someone trying to like tell me what to do with my anger. Or like just be sad. Just be sad and cry it out. Without someone being like, what happened? Tell me what happened. Let me help you work through it. Right? It wasn't okay to sit in those emotions. Whereas if I was like, I'm happy, everyone's like, cool, go off, Queen. They'll leave me in my happiness.
I just really quickly want to elaborate on just what you just said, then with sitting in your sadness and other people coming up to you. It's something that my teacher just recently taught me in the shamanic practices, right? Is that so many retreats or women gatherings, for example, you know, the women, they come together and they start to feel their emotions, but then all of a sudden one of the girls will start crying, and then all the women hover over the woman and go, oh, they're there, it's okay, it's, you know, you'll be okay. We love you so much, and come from this place of love and compassion, which is really beautiful. But that's not actually allowing that person, that woman, to fucking heal herself, right? Because feeling that sadness is a part of that healing.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, and I resonate with that. And like something that's quite cute in my relationship with my partner is I've actually had to ask him not to fix things or not to soothe me so that I can sit in my emotions. And other times I'll be like, babe, I need you. But a lot of the time I'm like, I need to feel this. And like if I'm angry, I'm like, just let me be angry. And like I have different music playlists that are like sacred rage, and then they're like sadness, cried out, like all these different emotions I have music with because I just want to sit in them and I just want to be with them and I just want to feel them and I want to allow them and I want them to be okay in my body and not silenced. And that's taken a long journey to get to. And that is how I know my truth, is because I sit in my body, in my emotions all the time. And my body tells me what I'm feeling. And I'm able to now put words to that and communicate that either with myself or with the people around me. Right? So speaking your truth isn't from the mind. It's not like, what do I need? What's my desires? Where am I going? What do I need to say? It's coming into your body and being like, what are my needs? What do I value? What situations have come up that have triggered me and what's happened? How can I communicate how my needs weren't met? Or what trigger came up? Or what I need from this other person or from myself? And how can I give myself those things? But I think so often that when we think about speaking our truth, we think about our mind and it's through thought. But our truth is found in our bodies. And that starts like, if you want to learn how to speak your truth, it starts by understanding your emotions and what you're feeling and
Yeah.
why you're feeling that.
Can we speak into that a little bit? I feel like we can go on a little bit of a deflect here and start talking about the emotions and feeling the emotions and how that plays out for women and for people in general, um, moving forward and coming back into your truth. Because to be able to speak your truth and come into your authenticity, it starts with understanding the emotions in your body and feeling them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think like the most basic thing that I know we both started with was sitting down and closing your eyes and tuning into your body and the sensations that you feel in your body and starting to be like, okay, where do I feel that? What does it feel like? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it hard? Is it soft? Is it tingly? What does it feel like? And then being like, can I just allow this feeling in my body without trying to figure out what it is? Just allow it. And as you allow it, it'll start to either dissipate within 90 seconds, an emotion will pass within 90 seconds, but you'll also start to understand what was there, what you were feeling in your body. And that's like the most basic thing that I know we started with, to be like, okay, what is an emotion that I'm feeling?
Mm.
What
And
I'm feeling.
most people are so disconnected from their emotions because they were taught to suppress them as a child. You know, I can lean
Yeah.
into that. You can lean into that from what we were taught. We were conditioned to believe as a child. Don't be angry. Don't be sad. You know, oh, it's okay. It's all right. Don't be upset. All these beautiful things that our parents, our friends, our teachers, our mentors, you know, aunties, uncles used to say to us. But unfortunately, it's a suppression of the emotions that when humans get to an adult, they don't know what the fuck to do with their emotions. They're like, anger, oh no, we can't feel shouldn't be angry about this situation, you know. So I'm just going to deflect on it and just going to suppress that emotion and push it down. And a really beautiful thing, a really beautiful piece here that I just want to lean into is what that actually is like for a child, because I have a 10-year-old, my youngest child, a 10-year-old that I now homeschool. I homeschool. And one of the main reasons, I mean, there's a whole number of reasons. We could do a whole podcast about parenting and government and conditioning and all of the bullshit that comes along with schooling, regular schooling, which I'm glad that I woke up before it was too late, before all of my three children grew up. But anyway, coming back to the emotions part, you know, I have a child who has ADHD. So he's very expressive with his emotions. He's very sensitive. He's a Cancer. He's super sensitive and loving and kind and gentle and so compassionate. But his voice is loud and expressive and angry as well. Like just like his mother, you know, like so much rage in there, but beautiful rage. Like, and what do you do with that rage? Anyway, I was working with the school and psychologists for eye roll, yeah, there for a while. I was working with the school and psychologist on how to allow him to be able to express his emotions in a school setting in a safe way that doesn't obviously hurt other children, but allows him to voice his anger and frustration, especially, which are the main two emotions that come up that are, you know, in school taught not to feel, not allowed to feel angry, not allowed to yell, you're not allowed to kick, you're not allowed to, you know, kick the ground. I mean, not allowed to throw your fists on the ground or anything like that. Anyway, after working with the psychologists and the teachers, I'm just like, this is not okay. Like, he's always getting suspended. He's always at the principal's office. Like, what happened this time? Oh, he yelled at a teacher. And I'm like, okay, but what happened before that? Like, did he yell at the teacher or did he just yell? Oh, he just yelled. Okay, so there's a huge difference between yelling at someone and just yelling in the classroom and the teacher feeling belittled, and not, you know, their inner child coming back to go to the principal's office. Huge difference. Anyway, where I'm going with this is we did so many different practices that my son would get to a point where he would then, because at home we're very expressive and we're allowed to be expressive. You're angry, feel it. I'm like, get into it, feel your anger, scream. I was like, as long as you're not screaming at each other, like, you know, scream as loud as you can, go outside. Like, even swearing is okay in a pillow. Like, for my little one, you know, go and swear it out, go and write it down, like, get it out, voice what you have inside of you, because if you don't, it will come out in other areas that are unhealthy, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, one of the biggest turning points for me was to bring him to homeschooling, was so he could be allowed to express his emotions in a
Mm.
way that was just okay and normalized. Because what happens otherwise is, you know, the upbringing that I had and the upbringing that you had, Mom, which is, you know, it's not okay to be sad, or it's not okay to be angry, and it changes you.
It does. It changes you without you knowing that you've changed, right? Because
Yeah.
it happened from such a young age. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is like the suppression of your emotions is what leads to a lot of your destructive patterning that you want to change. Whether that's with alcohol, whether that's with drugs, whether that's with food, like whatever it is, that is a lot of that is driven by suppressed emotions in your body. And so I know that on my own journey, just sitting with my emotions has completely not only transformed my relationship with myself, but also with the behaviors that I do and the people around me. And it allows you to, because you have a greater window of tolerance, right? So you, instead of reacting in the ways that I did as a child when I'm triggered or when I'm feeling something really heavy, instead of being reactive as I was as a child, which is like screaming and yelling and like saying things that I don't really mean, because I've sat with myself so much, when something triggers me or something happens that causes stress on my system, I'm able to pause and respond in a way that aligns with my truth. And that's been such a big piece, like, especially with like work stress or relationship things or like little things that come up in life. And it's like, I get to choose how I respond and if they affect me. And it's so freeing and so beautiful because then you're not on this emotional roller coaster all the time. You're the one that's in control and you're in tune with your truth because you're so deeply connected to your body because you sit with yourself and how you feel daily, multiple times a day. And I think with that, like something that is, I would love to speak into as well is the more that we speak our truth, not the more, but it creates disconnection and a lot of people cannot hold it. And I know personally, I actually had a conversation with my mum the other day and it was really beautiful because it opened up some conversations with my partner as well. Is my mum said to me, she's like, we were reading our horoscopes and stuff. And my mum was like, yeah, she's like, this is so true, Simone, you need to read this. And I was like, what does it say, mum? And it says, you're very direct and you're very honest. And most people cannot hold it. And I was like, wow. And it says something around like, I trigger a lot of people. And I was like, wow, mum, that's so interesting. And she was able to then share with me how I trigger her. And and then I asked my partner as well. I was like, how does this show up in our relationship, babe? Like, can you give me some examples? And it allowed me to see that the more I've stepped into my power and my truth, the more other people actually get triggered because I'm no longer filtering what I say to ensure that other people are pleased, but I'm speaking what's on my mind and what I know aligns with who I am. So if people in my, like, in terms of like my closest circle are doing something that is out of resonance with me, I will say it. And a lot of the time it triggers them because they know it's out of resonance for them as well. But I used to just mute it. And this is the same with friendships. Like the more I speak my truth, the harder it is to hold me, right? Because I'm going to trigger you, right? Just like Dani triggers me. But it's this knowing that the more you speak your truth, the more confronting it's going to be for the people around. Have you experienced that much?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I used to find that I've had a few people say, even in the past, when I actually didn't know my truth, but would still speak what was on my mind, that, you can be quite direct, which is really beautiful. But back then, years ago, I didn't know how to integrate that or how to come from a place of love. Whereas today, it's completely different. I speak how I'm feeling and allow that to sit in a way that aligns with me, but aligns with others as well. And coming back to that piece that I spoke about earlier, with holding that integrity with self and to go, no, 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 this is my truth and I'm going to speak this. And despite whether it triggers someone else or not, if it triggers someone else, then great. Then it's like, all right, sister or brother, it's time to lean into that. How can you work on that, and teach me how I can work on that with holding you, or whatever that looks like, because it allows for these relationships to become more than surface level. They become deep, they become real. They become allowing to call each other out on, hey, that didn't feel good for me, but XYZ, and just allowing the holdingness of the sacred space. Something that I said to you in a voice memo this morning, it was like, yeah, I want to see you in your realness, in your rawness, in your rage. I want to be able to hold you in that, not directed
Mhm.
at me, not
Mhm.
directed at me, but just allowing you to be you. And some people are not at that point, and that's okay. That's okay. This is a journey of remembrance and a journey of waking up. And whether you are in this lifetime, then great, come along. But whether you're not in this lifetime, then great, maybe next lifetime, and that's okay. But yeah, I
Mm.
definitely feel all of that. And it's interesting, Mom, you're saying that you're looking at horoscopes, because I'm a Cancer Leo. So I'm like
Mhm.
fire and water. So I'm like the
Mhm.
polar opposites, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, a Leo is like the fire. The Leo is the fire, which is the love and the loyalty and the compassion and the leader and the holder of the space, the healer. And then the Cancerian is the water, which is the flow, but the cleanse. It's like the rebirth. So it's like very fiery and very, can be very direct and can be quite moody. But in
Mhm.
in a beautiful way, if you can integrate that, which I have. I really feel that I have. And there's
Mm.
always room for growth. There's always
Yeah.
room for improvement. But yeah, being able to hold that space is really beautiful.
I feel that. And it's so interesting when you say the word moody, right? Because I feel like in our bodies just then there was a negative association with that word. And especially as a woman, like I know now when my emotions are going to be heightened and I embrace that and I love it. I actually love it to feel it all and to be in it all and to be okay in it all. Because for so long, like, especially like the week before my cycle, I would be like, what is wrong with me? Oh my gosh, there's something wrong with me. I need to sort this out. And it's like, no, like, this is the cycle. This is the phase. You are one with nature, sister. Feel it all, be the hot mess, be in it, and don't make it wrong or bad. And like, expect it. Especially as women, like, we are such emotionally driven beings. Like, we feel so much, but I feel in feeling so much, a lot of us have made it wrong that we feel so much. And I know, like, in previous relationships for myself, I numbed myself out so hard that I felt nothing. And I was always like the easygoing partner. There was never any conflicts in my relationships. Like, I was like the chill partner. I go with the flow, you make the plans. I'm so easy. And that was only because I was so disconnected from my emotions and my body and so suppressed inside that I didn't even know what I wanted. I was not fulfilled in any of my relationships. And I was too scared to speak my truth because I was like, oh my gosh, I might lose love or I'll be seen as weak or like I'll be seen as too much if I speak my truth. And so for me, like in all my past, I wasn't even sure what my truth was, but I was showing up as someone I wasn't because I was unable to connect with my body and my emotions and share that piece. And I feel like why this is so important, like why we've done this episode and are speaking into this is because if you share your truth, you must you must live a life that is in alignment with your highest good. If you are sharing your truth, you are living in alignment with your values. You are fulfilling your needs and the people around you are fulfilling your needs. Right? You are living the most divine life if you share your truth. Right? And I trust that when you do, you in your environment, your friends will support you in honoring your truth to a deeper and deeper level. Like there's been times where I've needed to speak and share my voice, and Danny's been like, you must do this. Do it and let me know once you've done it. And I'm like, oh, fudge.
And
I
then
know.
like 2 weeks later, I'm like, have you done that thing yet? And you're like, oh no.
Yeah. And in my gut, I'm like, oh, there's an ickiness that I need to let go. And I know that the woman I am and the woman I'm becoming, she shares this peace. But all the fear that I have from this lifetime and previous lifetime is like, do not say it. And so I think it's so beautiful that in our connection and in other friendships that I have, that we're able to speak our truth and to hold ourselves and each other to the standard of women that we are, not that we have been conditioned to be. Mm.
Yeah, I really love that, and thank you for sharing that piece about speaking your truth in relationships, as well, because I was the polar opposite. So
Mm.
I would always speak my truth. I'd be like, this is how I feel, but it always came from a place of unintegration. And what I mean by that is it came from a place of a verbal attack. I have to speak my truth because when I was little, I never got to. I was silenced for so long. So it was like, okay, I must speak my truth. I've got to speak first. I've got to block, delete. I'm going to have my last say. Right. Whereas that took a lot of work to be able to come back into my body and be able to speak my truth from a place of love, but what actually feels real and right to me, and be able to lean in and speak into that piece, which is interesting because it's what people call woo woo.
Yeah,
That's
it's not
really woo
normalized.
woo. And it's like, no, it's just the truth.
Yeah, I feel that. And also when you say like, when you were sharing your voice and you were seen as like the loud one or the one that's too much, and the person on the other end was like shutting down and not receiving it. It's because when we often share from a place of reactivity rather than an integrated, like coming from true self, it's received with defensiveness. Right. And I used to do this as well, like in my relationship, is like be reactive and then my partner would shut down. And this is why the pause is so important, to sit with yourself and understand what your body is telling you through the sensations that are happening in your body, so that you can come from a grounded and integrated place and communicate where you're like speaking from a place of I, not you. And that takes work, and we don't always get it right. There is no one here that is fucking perfect. Me and Dani are so far from perfect, but we are so perfect in the same time, right? We are all so far from perfect, but we are all perfect as ourselves. And I think that it's knowing that no matter what journey you go on, and maybe you're feeling called to speak your truth now, and you're like, wow, how do I even start? You just start sitting with your emotions. It's knowing that there are going to be moments of reactivity. There are going to be moments where you don't get it right. There's going to be moments where you're sitting there and you're ready to share and you're so ready to get it off your chest, and you don't, you silence yourself. And that's all part of the journey of speaking one's truth. And it's staying committed to that and knowing that it does get easier. And knowing that as sharing your truth gets easier, and the more that you share your truth, the more aligned your life becomes. And that's why you choose to speak your truth. Right? That's why you're here, to create your divine aligned life and find your purpose and your calling and be who you authentically are. And sharing your truth is a huge part of that. And so we trust that in this episode, it has helped you understand why this is so important and how you might start expressing yourself a little bit more, and honoring any emotion that comes up, and knowing that no emotion is bad or wrong, and that they all deserve space.
A really beautiful way for anyone listening, to be able to start sharing their truth is starting with the people that you know love you unconditionally, and starting with your closest friends, even if it's just a little thing like, that's actually not my favorite color. My favorite color is this. Very
Mm.
gently starting to speak your truth, becoming truthful to self first, firstly.
Mhm.
Stop telling all these little micro lies like, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
happy today. Just go, yeah, I'm feeling all right, neutral. Just
Mhm.
catch yourself on those little micro lies that
Mhm.
yeah, that get said. But yeah, really allowing yourself to put yourself in spaces to become truthful and open to those around you, which will draw in other different types of relationships where you can speak your truth or show up on social media and speak your truth, you know. It's yeah, gentle steps.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's knowing that whatever you resonate at, so if you start sharing your truth more, you will attract more of that. Right? Whatever you are, you attract. So if you're looking at the people around you and you're like, this is not it, sister, this is not it. I know there's more. I want more depth or whatever it is. How do you sit with yourself and become that first? Because then you will attract it. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. We would love if you could give us a 5-star rating or leave any comments. Share this with your friends, message us, let us know how you found it. We love you so much, and we will see you on the next episode.
We love you.